Okay, so we just want you to start by describing what the Caldwell Fellows program is.
Well, I think it's a scholarship fellowship, so it's like a group of us, and it's really a big community, and it's all about, like leadership and scholarship, and really a lot about service learning. So like, how are you gonna really make an impact with whatever it is that you want to do, and how are you gonna kind of like carry it forward?
Gotcha. So why did you choose to apply to the program?
Well, I thought it was Tiffany actually brought up to us in Engaging Leaders. She said it's a really cool program. You should all check it out. And so I looked into it, and I really like the service learning aspect of it. The fact that like you can be in a leadership position, but you can also like help others and really be humble about it that way too. So I thought that was really cool.
So you're drawn to being a leader, like. Was it anything necessarily related to your major or your future or anything like that?
Kind of. I'm a sport management major, but I want to do community relations. So I would work for a professional sports team and set up all the community service events and stuff for them to do. So the whole idea of like being a leader, but also serving and like kind of knowing that like you're like blessed with a lot of things and other people aren't. That whole kind of mindset, that really drew me to the program, I think.
Very cool. So, why do you think you were chosen for the program?
I'm still trying to figure that one out. I just got accepted, probably about a month ago now. So, I think they definitely look for people with passion. And recently, I've kind of discovered my passion in the whole using sport to create social change type deal. So, I guess that was part of it. I don't know. I feel like a lot of us who are in it were like, I don't know how I got picked for this, but okay.
Yeah.
So
that seems to be a common sentiment. Even asking seniors and people we've talked to, everybody says the same thing. So, how would you describe your fellow Caldwell Fellows?
I'm just getting to meet them, but they are some of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. They're just like the coolest people. Like they have a talent that you would never know, like if you passed them on the street, or they're really passionate about something, or they spent a gap year in Brazil just doing service work, and you're like, okay, like you do you type deal. So they're some of the coolest people ever, and they're all very supportive of anything you want to do. So.
What would be like some common characteristics of the group as a whole, from what you've observed already? If there are any common characteristics.
I think there are. Humor is definitely one. Passion, the idea of everybody kind of holds themselves to a standard that they're always like reaching a little higher just to grab that, just go a little farther. So motivation, drive, humility, a lot of humility. So
very cool. So you're kind of new in the program, like a baby Caldwell. I heard
Caldwell.
One of the girls called it baby Caldwell.
With Jillian. She calls us babies all the time.
I think it was Lisbeth. Yeah. She's over, I don't know if you met her, but we Skyped with her. Okay. She's in Italy. But yeah, she called them baby Caldwells, and I thought that was really cute. So can you talk about your experience in the program so far, and maybe what opportunities you kind of see in the future, or like how you've been adjusting into the program?
Sure. Well, first we started out, selection day was the most intimidating day of my life. So that was really scary. But then once you were selected, we had like a little welcome retreat. And that was still kind of like borderline scary, but not really. But then after, like, that was kind of like the program. And then while we're there, one of the seniors is like, yo, we're having a bonfire. It's like your welcome party, so you better come. And we're like, okay. So we show up, and it was just super relaxed, and it was really cool. So that was definitely like a welcome sight. But definitely in the future, I definitely see myself really taking advantage of the stipends and the support that we get, and definitely the opportunities just to meet people, especially at the dinner seminars. You meet some really cool people there. So,
yeah, that's cool. Yeah. We went to the dinner seminar the other day, so it was really cool alumni.
Yeah.
So you kind of mentioned the interview. Why don't you tell us a little bit about like selection day, how that felt for you, what kind of questions were you asked?
I was asked some of the strangest questions I've ever been asked in my life. It was definitely scary because you walk in and there's a table and you get your name tag and your packet and they're like, all right, go over here, we're going to take your picture. And you're like, what? Okay. And they have it set up. It honestly felt like a mugshot at first because it was like, hold your name card under your chin. And I was like, oh, okay. But then once the day started going, it was a lot of questions about like what do you do? What's something that you feel strongly about? We had one whole group interview was us sitting there, and we had 2 minutes to write about an issue we see in the world and how we're going to solve it. Mm-hmm. And we went around and we all shared, and then we had to comment on everybody else's. And it was crazy because there was 15 of us in this room, and somehow we connected all our ideas together from, like, I talked about sports, and somebody talked about education, somebody else talked about healthcare, and they all kind of, like, went together. It was a really cool experience to see that. But, yeah, I got all kinds of questions from, like, if you were chancellor for a day, what would you change? Or if your best friend was sitting here, what would she say she hates about you? Like, stuff like that you're like, okay. But, yeah, it was a fun day and a scary day all at once. So.
Do you feel like you learned anything through that experience?
Definitely. I definitely learned a lot. It's weird, the whole, like, application process, I learned a lot about myself. Just having to, like, really look at yourself, okay, what am I passionate about? That type of stuff. But I also learned a lot about how to eat in a really tight setting and turn around and look and be a part of a program and logistics like that. But also that you really never know somebody until you really sit down and talk to them, because we were all sharing really personal things that you don't really, like, you're not really going to talk to somebody about that, like, on the street. And so it was really cool to be like, oh, yeah, I've seen you around campus. Oh, my gosh, you're a musician? Like, I had no idea. Like, it's cool stuff like that, so.
Yeah. So why don't you speak a little bit about your perceptions of the program before you applied, like, during the application process, and then now?
Okay. Well, before I applied, I kind of was like, oh, it's like a really fancy, like, scholarship, like, has to be, like, it's really, like, prim and proper. And then at selection day, selection day was really confusing, like, during the whole application thing, because, like, 1 second you're like, all right, sit up straight, you're in your business suit, okay, and the next you're, like, cracking jokes with somebody, and you're like, wait, what's going on? I don't understand. And now it's, like, it really is a community. Like, there's not really, like, a standard necessarily. Like, you're all just there and, like, collaborating and supporting each other, and it's laid back, and, like, we get dressed up for stuff, but it's not necessarily like a sit up straight, you, like, gotta be on your best behavior all the time type thing, so.
Very cool. So do you already feel a part of the community? You mentioned the word community, and that's something we've heard a lot, and you've only been in the program technically for like a month now, so how do you already feel a part of the community?
It's kind of strange, actually. It all started really at that bonfire, because we're all just sitting around, and you've got, like, sophomores, seniors, juniors, oh, you're a baby, like, what's up, like, talking to you and stuff. And then there were a lot of people who weren't there, so you kind of knew some people going into your dinner seminar. And then we have wings night every Tuesday night, so they go get wings, they're, like, super cheap. So I went to my first wings night last Tuesday, and it was like, everybody was like, it's a baby, like, there's like 3 of us there, and we're in a corner, it's just like people just keep coming at you, and you're like, okay, hey, like, it was really cool though. But yeah, you definitely feel like welcomed as soon as you get there, so.
That's cool. So how do you perceive, like, the culture of what the program is and how it relates to NC State's campus culture as a whole?
I think it kind of is very similar. It's a very representative group of NC State, because it's very diverse. But at the same time, everybody is striving to, like, do these amazing things in the world, and it might be academically, or it might be, like, on missions trips or something like that. But I think it's definitely, like, all that NC State is in, like, a little tiny group, because you have people who are really faith-based, or you have people who are really into science or something like that. And one way it's different, though, is, like, you think of NC State, it's a big engineering school. And Caldwell's not necessarily that way. Like, there's definitely engineers. Every college is represented. And, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like just NC State in a little. So it's cool. I like it.
Well, how how do you compare this community to like some other communities that you might be a part of, whether they be like your residence hall or your major or different other areas that you're plugged in on campus? How is this either similar or different to those communities?
I think in some ways, like, it's similar to my residence hall. I'm in the Scholars Village, so it's all a lot of kids who are like trying to do their best in school and stuff and really focus on that. But it's also everybody's having a good time and getting to know each other. And like, I connected with people in my suite quicker than I've ever connected with people before in my life. And then the same thing happened at Caldwell, so that was kind of cool. It's different though in the fact that at Caldwell you talk about very personal things very quickly, and you don't really do that in other places on campus. Like, especially in your major, like, you're trying to feel everybody out, like, okay, who's who. In the residence hall, it's like, I have to live with these people. But in Caldwell, it's very personal, definitely.
Yeah. So then what are you most looking forward to about